Good agency owners, this is Jordan Ross, your founder of How to Scale an Agency podcast and founder of 8-Figure Agency. And in today's conversation, we have one of our 8F clients, one of our shining success stories. We got Alan Porter, the founder of Porter Media. And in this conversation, we're going to talk about a down year for agencies, in a year where the market is a bear market and everyone's contracting. He's been growing. He's been building his efficiencies. He's been getting a lot more freedom out of his agency when he didn't have it before. So it's going to be a great call for you to really listen into if this is something you aspire for. So Alan, thanks for coming in, man. And for everyone that does not know you, does not know Porter Media and what you guys do, who's Alan? What's Porter Media? And give us the high level update.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so obviously my name's Alan. I run a performance marketing agency, primarily focusing on working with direct-to-consumer brands that are mid six figures all the way up to about 50 million in annual revenue per year. We focus on two areas, so paid acquisition and retention. Simplified, meaning paid ads on social media and search, and then email and SMS. So while other marketing agencies, which are maybe more brand centric and less closer to the money, we're as close as it gets for these brands.
Brilliant. And we met almost a year ago now. So we met in Q4. We met in December of 2022.
Yep.
For everyone that, wasn't there, paint a picture. What was life like for you and your business back in Q4 of 2022, or coming out of holiday season? What were you struggling with in terms of the business, and why you had even reached out to start a conversation with me back then?
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if we've ever talked about this, and this is before I even engaged with 8F, but in Q3 of 2022, we classify and we rank our portfolio from clients A to D, essentially. And
I like that.
What we mean by that is not that any client is lesser. It's just that where do we think we can help them? Do we actually think it's going to be, how high risk is it? So if we take on a C client as an example, there are components of the business that we think we can help them with. There are other components where it's going to be extremely tough unless we get outside support. B clients obviously gets better. A clients, we're pretty much just accelerating their current growth. So our portfolio was highly exposed to C's. We had a couple A's, a couple B's, but we had a lot of C's that we're taking bets on. And in the pandemic, you could do this because everyone had cash. I don't want to swear on your podcast, but businesses.
You could drop F-bombs, man. We don't give a fuck about that.
Businesses that really shouldn't have been in business were excelling, and we got exposed with our portfolio in Q3. We churned a lot, and by the time Q4 came around, we rebounded. We flushed out all of our call it C clients, and I realized that A, we need more organization. B, we need better efficiency in order to handle more clients. We had, even before that, I guess, we had an influx of clients in Q2. We couldn't handle them all. Q3, we churned a lot. Q4, I was like, okay, I got to figure something out here. So I think I saw you on Twitter, or maybe it was a referral from somewhere, but I think I saw you on Twitter, saw a couple of your tweets. It resonated with me at the time. I reached out and I was like, this is a no-brainer. What's the worst case that could happen?
Yeah, and I even actually have some notes from a year ago. It was, processes. There were some process opportunity,
Yeah.
and you were trying to really figure out, how do I get my team to perform at a higher level? How do I, I'm not going to paint up the whole picture, but what does it look like for me to scale this through my people? What's the best way to do that? What was the reason? So thinking back to December, what was the reason you ended up saying, like, we got into a call and you're like, fuck it, like, let's do something. Like, why at that point? What was your internal process as, like, I want to invest to grow my business, but through the operational side and the process side and the people side?
Yeah, I didn't really care about the bottom. As an agency, your goal is to optimize for the bottom line while not sacrificing output and quality of level of service for your clients. Okay. at that point, I didn't care. I just wanted, I didn't care what the bottom line looked like. I didn't care if we took a haircut on it because I know that the investment in processes, in systems would allow me to not only step away, um, but allow our team to perform at a higher rate without feeling as chaotic. If you're in the e-commerce space, if you're in the agency space in general, like you know how chaos it can get around certain times of year. It's September right now. It's going to be it's already chaos in all honesty, and it's about to be really chaotic here in Q4. So by investing last year, pretty much around this time, we've been able to build out a system where it's now less chaotic. We are months ahead in advance. We've already next week we launch our briefs for assets that we're going to be launching November 1st for Black Friday. So, yeah, ADF has been a godsend. ADF has been a huge asset for us in being able to just plan ahead and weather the storm.
That's, for everyone listening, that's 2 months in advance. That's 2 months. That's like 9 weeks in advance that we're talking. So, two final questions, and then we're actually going to go through what happened that led to that change. But how in the business were you? Like, were you able to take time off? Was the business being run around you? Like,
No.
how deep into the business were you last year when we met?
Pretty. I mean, it feels like I'm still in the business in all honesty. But it's different though. My responsibilities are different, and my goal and my day to day looks different. So instead of being in the ad accounts, instead of actually executing the work, my goal as a leader is to teach, train, provide a system, provide a framework of thinking, provide support to my internal team, but also external as well. It's more of a position.
It's leadership.
It's more of a leadership position. Exactly.
Yeah, you came in you were a player coach. You're actually doing the media buying, right?
Yeah.
You're clicking the buttons, and this year it's. And you're actually the type of founder that I like to work with the most, and here's why: because a lot of people online, they just hype up like you could fully exit your business and never fucking work. There was a season when I wanted to do that, and I fucking talked about building the dream.
Yeah.
But I still want to work. I work hard. I'm working very hard right now, because I mean, I could probably add. I did the math this summer. I was like, if I could add 3 to 5 million by work in the next 12 months by working hard for a year, do I want that 3 to 5 million right now? Probably. So I'm gonna fucking work hard, right? So there's nothing wrong with at all as an entrepreneur fucking working. Awesome. So you came in, we have opportunity, we can take on more clients. I'm working in the business, in accounts, and the business has grown. In the first 30 days you had some great success. But what was that process look like in the first 90 days with us? Because you saw some quick success. I think in the first 90 days, in the first 3 months, you added like 30K in recurring revenue. So like right out of the gates, you're adding, and like a substantial amount in comparison to what you were doing then, like 25%, give or take, of your business. What led to your quick growth in your first 90 days with us? What were the things that you started to change and work on at that time, from what you recall? Because it's been a minute.
Yeah. So Joe, who I work with, the guy was great in being able to not only lean on, ask questions, but provide a framework, provide a bird's eye view into the structure of our business. So by doing that, I was able to map out our customer journey, relay that to the team, and be able to onboard more clients at once versus having to turn some away. Now, obviously, everything takes a little bit of luck too. I'm not just saying and ADF's been great. I'm not saying it's all been ADF, but it's been a combination of both. If we didn't have the processes in place, or if we didn't even have that started, it would have been extremely challenging. We would have been Q2 all over again. Take on a bunch of clients and then churn a bunch. This year, took on clients, had the capacity. We didn't churn anyone last month. We didn't churn anyone in July that I can think of. And we're actually hiring now. So it's the exact opposite of a year ago. And had I not done that, it probably wouldn't spin in my wheel still.
So take us through what technical on the ground. What were some of the things you did that changed? You say, because you're saying processes. What are those processes? What are those systems that actually led to that?
Everything you do twice, you write down. Very simple. Everything you do twice, you write down. Any question that's asked twice, you write down. You put it on a piece of paper, you put it in an Excel doc, you create a directory, you create some sort of like source or some sort of.
Your internal Wikipedia,
Yeah,
as I
exactly.
like to call it.
And anyone has a question on the team, you don't bother someone else, not including myself or including your direct report. You don't bother someone else. You go and search if there's already been a process in place for this question, and you go find the answer to the question. And all of a sudden, people's time is freed up, and you don't have to answer the same question twice. It's been like, it sounds so simple, but it's not, because it's ongoing, and we're going to continuously doing it. But that's been the biggest change.
So we went from, I'm hearing you didn't have definition, right?
Definitely not. No.
What was the buy-in from employees around that? Because I think a lot of people are like, I want to make these changes. And I think this was an actually apprehension for you. I want to do these things, but I'm apprehensive. How do I get, what did that communication look like with your employees around, hey, we're about to start making a change? How'd you communicate that? And what was the resistance or buy-in from them?
Yeah. So the team. Let me put it this way: every time there's a change, there's going to be resistance. There's no way that you're going to get full buy-in from everyone. So it doesn't matter what it is, how big or small. Okay. The team recognizes that there's an issue. The team recognizes that we're doing a lot more work than we need to be, because of disorganization. From a leadership position, in lack of better terms, like you just can't give a fuck, and like this is the way it's going to be, or we're going to continue as is. So I understand there may be challenges. We're going to have to try it this way, and if it doesn't work, we'll revert to another way. I think, I don't say burning the boats, but I think just having like, look, this is the way it's going to be. If you don't like it, that's okay. I'm not saying there's the door, but there's the door. It was very easy buy-in. The team's on board. You know what? It was fear. The fear that we would go through the exact same process again this year as we did last year, and I think that drove everyone's buy-in.
Great. So you start going through a process. You build a process workflow. You start documenting things. You start templatizing them, putting into a central place. You also said, though, this year you got out of managing accounts. I find that a lot of our clients doing less than like, in that 50 to 130K per month, or even like anything less than, when you're doing less than, I would say 120K per month, most of the clients are coming into ADAP that are at that level. Like I am the one pushing the buttons, doing the thing. What did you specifically do this year that allowed you to step out of those accounts? What were the actions that you took with ADAP?
Provide frameworks and provide philosophy as to how we go about media buying, and how we go about thinking about e-commerce and just growth in general for e-commerce brands. Again, my goal is to motivate, my goal is to teach, my goal is to provide a system that can be repeated on an ongoing basis that produces the results that we want. Pushing buttons and uploading ads and all that shit, like that's not part of the game. That's been a huge changer. Also definition of roles. You kind of touched on that previously. Just like a process that's anything that's asked twice, you write it down. Anything that's done twice, can you hire it out? So we work with a lot of contractors who are now part of our team, pretty much full time, who have like one job only. As an example, we have an ad setter. Every time there's an ad that's created, all they do is publish the ads. It would be the exact same way in every single account. It looks the exact same. There's not a lot of creativity to it, so it's been a huge time relief for our full-time employees.
That's actually interesting. So that's one that I don't hear too often. It's what could we delegate that if you're doing it twice, like do you need to be the one that's doing it? And you also start to learn how to build a training process. So was that your first time ever actually consciously building a training framework?
100%.
So what I find that's one of the number one hardest things for people to get their head around, because online you talk a lot about, like, it's inundated on Twitter, it's SOPs. What you talked about is philosophical. Right. This is the philosophical approach to media buying and to building and growing accounts. What were some of your bigger lessons as you reflect back on training? Because that's what got you out, right? Like I create a framework, I create philosophy, and then I get people to learn and understand this philosophy. That takes work. What did you learn about training talent through this process?
Everyone learns differently. Some people get it right away. Some people need a little bit more massaging to understand the process. I think that's still something that I'm I'm actively aware of as people, the way they learn. So people who I know and the team's small enough where I recognize certain learning styles, that someone needs additional attention after our team call or after our lesson or whatever it may be, I'll follow up and be like, let's hop on a one-on-one, let's walk through this again. They can ask me one-on-one questions where they may not feel comfortable on a team setting. I found that's been the biggest thing, making sure everyone absorbs the information so that they can move forward. Just to kind of veer off, like no one's going to be as obsessed as the leader, right? No one's going to be as obsessed as the owner. So my learning capacity and the speed at which I learn is 2, 3, 4, 5 times as the current staff. So it's my job to take my learnings, apply it, but also make sure they understand exactly what is being said.
I actually really like that expectation of yourself. I think as founders, especially at this stage, I have to be appropriately patient, because unless like you're hiring at 8F, like the people we hire at 8F, I have to hire. Like you're working with Joe. Joe's a fucking animal. The guy before coming to 8F, he was managing a half a bill in a client portfolio as a COO, right? Like, I'm paying a premium for talent because I feel like you can't come into here and have a good experience unless you work with someone of that caliber.
Yeah.
But for where you're at with media buying, right? Like the opportunity cost is too high to hire a whole team of people like that.
Yeah.
How do you feel like the expectation, like that you set on yourself impacted that? Or was that an expectation around patience that you had to learn?
Something I had to learn. I thought everyone would get it the first time, which sounds stupid to say out loud, but my expectation was that everyone would just understand the first time, because you're like you go through it. Any questions, anything I can help out with, what don't we get, what, like, in when you're in a team setting, when you're on a team call, not everyone's going to feel comfortable speaking up. So recognizing that, doing the one-on-ones post team call, that's been a huge, although it takes additional time, what would take more time is them not understanding and them going about it in a way that may not make sense or may not be up to the caliber that you're looking for. It's worth it just to spend that time initially, versus have it ongoing.
So you said a few things. So you use team calls for training.
Yep.
And then you use one-on-ones to go deeper on philosophy and on the nuance of like the different variables that come with growing accounts and growing businesses.
Exactly.
Is that right? Can you just give some color behind that? Like how often do you do team training calls? What do you cover? And then like how often do you do the one-on-ones?
We do training. I don't know if I call it training. So training probably once bi-weekly or maybe once every 3 weeks. For a new process, we'll do a training on it. Then we'll do one-on-ones. It depends, like if it's completely net new or if it's an addition or optimization of a current process. As an example, we just implemented a new creative system where we're able to analyze, go through all accounts, review all creative, determine what's working, what's not. As a team, iterate on it, determine if it can be used cross-client. So if one ad is working for one client, do we think it'd be applicable to another client? Then we go through our net new different idea concepts. So net new meaning concepts that we haven't tried before that we want to try, see what clients would be applicable for. Long way of saying, like, there's trainings infrequent, but because we're primarily remote, team calls where we can have brainstorming sessions and team calls where it's not so much about me barking announcements at them. That I'd say is it's once a week. One's for offers and the other one's for creatives.
Right. So you're doing the team. Yeah. And it's really ideation, right? I talk a lot about on these calls where you're talking about, let's just say the creative call, you're going through what's working. You're going through like probably I'm making assumptions.
Yeah.
Affirmative, right? Why this worked, what your take is, what someone's take is, like how can we do more of it? So it's really a lot of it's ideation, but you're also going deeper on sharing your perspective so people through osmosis could understand. And then probably on that call, you're identifying who you need to talk more with. And then you off the call, you're spending more time with them.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have recurring blocks with some people that you automatically spend that time?
We do. Or I do, rather.
Awesome.
Yeah, I do.
Great.
Both with my department heads and then a couple individuals.
Awesome. So let's go high level, right? Like a year ago coming into ADAF, there's lack of structure, There's no training process. You are doing the media buying. You are clicking the buttons, and you're making sure budget spend's being met. At the time of recording, we're 8 months into the collaboration. You're fully out of the account role, like the basic individual contributor role. You're now managing the business to develop and make people move faster. And you said something coming into this call, efficiency. So you guys are well paced ahead. You have the capacity to grow. You guys are continually growing. You've grown a lot this year. You're about to hit a new massive milestone. What are some of the the byproducts of this collaboration that you said efficiency, like that you haven't shared? What are some of the things that have been able to happen as a result of doing the work, the hard work, right? It's the not sexy work, the process, the training. What are some byproducts of that you may not have shared?
We're able to do more with less. So although, like I said, your goal is to optimize for the bottom line without sacrificing output for your clients. I've changed my mind a little bit where the output has improved with the same amount of people for the most part. We are spending more. We're spending more on marketing, spending more on things to help grow the business. But that's the biggest thing. And it may sound obvious to some, but you want your A players in key roles, right? You want anything that's repetitive, anything that can be delegated to potentially offshore roles or more junior positions. We've just gotten better and gotten people in the right seats and making sure tasks, the high level, the analytical thinking, creative thinking, those are the right people doing it, and the repetitive tasks, those are more people learning the game and trying to level up their skills.
I love it. Thank you so much for recap. So for anyone that's considering collaborating with ADEP, what would you say to them?
Do it now. It's September.
Hey, don't wait.
September. Q4 is almost here. If you're in our space, you're going to be busy till November. Put it on the back of your list. We started, I think, first or second week of December, but it was on my mind all throughout November. So, don't hold off. Get
Awesome.
to it now.
And for anyone that wants to check you out, where could they find Alan or Porter Media?
Yeah, they can come to the site, check us out, portermedia.com, or reach out to me on Twitter, Alan J. Porter on Twitter. I'm not the most active there in terms of tweeting, but certainly reply, retweet.
I see.
I'm a lurker.
Awesome. Alan, thank you so much for your time, man, and good luck this holiday season.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.